because you would have an engaged employee that likes what they do. They'll take care of the rest because I see value in hanging out with my coworker. Trust, but verify. It just takes time, but it also takes, I care, and showing that empathy. Stay connected, and relationships matter.
You're listening to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, a podcast that delivers value and offers up insight that'll help your credit union grow. ServiceStar has been consulting with credit unions for over 20 years, growing them in the areas of cultural development, leadership development, and management training. To learn more about what ServiceStar can do for you or your credit union, check them out at servicestarconsulting.com.
Welcome to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. I'm Scott Albrecht, and we're doing a little a fun podcast today. I get to hang out with my old mentor and friend, Mike Valentine. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing outstanding, Scott. It's great to see you.
If I were to name one, it's great to see you too, man. If I were to name one manager who's in touch with his people, it's definitely the Mike. Mike, you have something called the Mike radar, and sometimes it's green and sometimes it's red. Tell us a little bit about your journey at Baxter Credit Union. What do you do for Baxter Credit Union? And this People-Centric Workplace Award you just recently won from DFA. It's called the Flex Leader Award. You just 2 days ago, you're in Washington, D.C. receiving that thing. It recognizes executives who set the new standard for leadership in evolving workplaces, but you've had the Mike meter for years. Tell the audience, who are you, what do you do, and what is this Mike meter that's now getting you some awards here in the public space?
Oh, Scott, you're too nice. So obviously Mike Valentine, I've been at Baxter Credit Union, BCU, since 1984, CEO since 1994. So I've had many, many years of it. And to me, when you think of this award or honor, whatever they want to call, it's interesting, Scott, to think about it because really, you think of awards and you think of awards you're going to get for, best batting average, all these other things like this. There's never the soft stuff like this. And to me, it's a testament of our employees of BCU because to me, it's putting employees first. I'd say one to you. Two, I'd look at this as a three-legged stool. There's the employees, there's the regulators for us, and then there's the members. So you take care of the employees, you focus on the employees, and they do the rest for you. And it's, Scott, it's so doggone simple. And I got to tell you, I give a shout out to Rex Johnson, who really started me in thinking about that back when I started at BCU to go, hey, Mike, it's easy stuff. Focus on the employee and everything else takes care of it. And I'm like, that can't be that simple. But I have to tell you, Scott, I've been in the industry now, 41 years. And I say absolutely yes, because you would have an engaged employee that likes what they do, they'll take care of the rest. And to me, I'm super excited. And, Manar Morales, that runs the Diversity Flexibility Alliance, got a chance to spend some time with her. She's fantastic. But it was fun to get an award like that. But I think of all the awards, Scott, that I've been involved in, gosh, it's fun. I get it, but I know what did it was not me. It's the rest of the people. It's the employees and it's the manufacturer of talent, of great people like you, Scott, that head out to the market, buddy, and do great, amazing things like this.
Yeah, it's fun to see the BCU talent dispersed across the way. For those of you listening to the podcast that don't know, I used to work under the tutelage of Mike Valentine. Never got a chance to work there while Rex Johnson was still alive. Rest in peace. I only heard of him through the grapevine, and initially enough, I didn't actually hear a lot about Rex at Baxter Credit Union. I knew the story, but it was when I went out into the world and went to different conferences, and they heard that I was a Baxter Credit Union employee, that Rex's name would come up almost every time. Oh, that's Rex's credit union. So you've been the CEO for since 1994. How many times do people come up to you and be like, "Oh, isn't that Rex's credit union?" Do you get the same thing when you go to conferences?
Scott, it's hilarious. And it's hilarious in even like when you were with us and people would go out to different conferences and they talk about Rex and the culture. And it'd be like, and I'm the first to say, Rex made me, to the person I am and taught me some of the things. And like any great leaders, and it's to me a testament of it. you learn good things and you learn what not to do. I learned both things, but the one thing Rex put forward was employees, and he was a lending machine, and I got to tell you, that Scott, we have kept on. And I've gotten over it because I'm so proud to be connected to Rex because, there's a lot of times when Rex started LSI Consulting, he and I left a little bit of tidbit. 6 months, I was in the consulting business, Scotty, with you, not with you directly, but
Doing
and
what I'm doing now.
having,
Yeah. Yeah.
having a blast, and I think I figured out for me at that time of my life, my kids were young, that I didn't want to have the life on the road, and Rex did. And I said to myself, hey, if BCU still has me, I'd be back there. But no, I got nothing but great memories with Rex. I got way too much material for it, Scott, but it was a fantastic mentor and a fantastic person to work for. And I think of him often, with different things we do. But I agree. Rest
You
in
def
peace, Rex.
Yeah, rest in peace. You definitely created your own, mini army of managers that are now doing great things in the credit union movement. Some manage credit unions. At some point in time, we had a tracker for how many
Yeah.
people were in, leadership positions outside of who had left Baxter Credit Union, but you never really leave the spirit of Baxter Credit Union. And you mentioned batting averages, and yeah, sure, this is not based on batting averages, but you can actually look at some numbers and you can holistically say that the Rex and now the Mike and now the BCU way is working. I'm pretty impressed with your. So I remember you guys had Gallup come out to our 2018 all employee training, and we rolled out a Q12 survey. You guys are at a 4.47 out of 5 right now. I mean, that's crazy good. We've been doing NPS since someone from Baxter Credit Union split off and created some
Yes.
credit union NPSs. But you're double the biggest banks out there in 78 to 80 in NPS. And so this is something that was tried and true to Baxter Credit Union before COVID. And that's when I was there and I was leading some branches for y'all. But I'd really like your input on post 2020. Like what your mic meter was going off. I remember specifically the call where you said, my mic meter is going off. We got to make some changes here at Baxter Credit Union. A lot of what this award's kind of pointing to is the kind of flexibility you brought into the BCU culture. So those credit union leaders that are listening, what were some of those moves that they can maybe emulate as they look to lead this new world that we're in? Even though it's 5 years removed, I think it's still pretty new for us to figure out work from home, hybrid, and kind of getting that voice of the employee heard.
Scott, I think it starts back where you and I started with relationships and employees. And for me, I felt the biggest thing, first of all, I've never been as lonely as I was during COVID, like a lot of Americans. And I'm okay with saying that. And I'm also going to tell you, Scott, I never thought we could flex 800 people to their homes within a couple days time
Mm,
and be there for our members. And as you remember, Scott, I coined our employees the financial first responders,
yeah.
because so much uncertainty was going on, so much craziness, in the world. And it was like, yeah, but our members got to get to their money. Our members got to, their credit cards got to work. Their home banking's got to work, all these things like that. So to me, the first and foremost to me going into that was the employee. Once the employee is safe and they're in a good place and they're working, then it was, I like your mic meter. That's pretty funny. But I'd say to you, and I'm in the same room I was during COVID, dude, I drove myself crazy because I'm like you, Scott and Taylor. I'm a people person, man. And I tell you what, I was in this house by myself with my wife, driving her crazy, and I was aching to get to the employees. So started out different things with, as you remember, I have do chats that I call, which is I drink Mountain Dew, probably not good, but drink Mountain Dew. And instead of a coffee discussion, I'd get employees together on the Hollywood squares and we just talk. And my first few calls after COVID, it was more of how you doing? What's going on? What are you up to? Like you, Scotty, I'm ice fishing, I'm in the Olympics, all that good stuff. But it was fun, because it was connecting with people. And then we got to, all right, how you doing? How's business? What's happening? And then it evolved to, I'd call it dialing for dollars in a way for me, Scott. On Teams, they got a thing you can go in there and just dial up somebody. So I call Scott I'd call Taylor, and these are all employees at the time, and I'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" And they'd be freaking out. It'd be like, "Here I am on the screen, and I'm not a small dude," and they'd be like, "Wow." And it was random, what I was trying to do, so started that. Then the final edge to that was I was doing, I call one down conversations with some of the leaders, checking in with the directors, managers, regional managers, what's happening, what's going on. And it was just to me more personal, but it turned to be positive because it was like, hey, he's checking in, and it started to raise the engagement like that. So to me, it got down to being connected, listening, and I'd say listening and with an underline to it. And then it was being flexible to say, what are we going to do? And so we started people back to the office as we turned return of office. And today we're at 2 days a week. We're asking people within a 40-mile radius of BCU to be at the office at any time during the week. Usually it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Next year we're going to 3 days, and I'm pretty confident that's where we're going to push it
Okay.
because I believe people can do their job from anywhere. But the thing that I can't replace, Scott, and don't judge me, it's that personal. You know me, dude. I'd be all over you right now. I'd be like, Scotty, what's up? And you don't do that on a Zoom call. We can
Yeah.
connect, but
Yeah.
and that's also those happen meetings that you have on your way downstairs, or you're going to get a cup of coffee, a Mountain Dew, bathroom, whatever it is. You say, "Oh, Scott, what's up?" And you're in a 15-minute conversation. I miss that, Scott, and I think that's missed. And we got to figure out how to do this in that way. And I know there's a way. We just got to keep pressing to do that.
Yeah. Somebody who worked in an Ohio location for a credit union that was, headquartered in Illinois, I always kind of felt like, an outsider looking in. You guys would have barbecue and you guys would have jeans day and meditation room day. And you'd have all this like fun at corporate headquarters. So we always treasured going to managers meetings. You'd fly into the managers meeting, and that was kind of our way of getting a taste of that. It sounds like post-COVID, though, you've actually taken some measures to uh, make everyone feel like they're a part of the BCU team, regardless if you're in Puerto Rico or if you're in Ohio or if you're in Illinois. What were some of those intentional steps that you took to make sure that the branch manager in Ohio felt just as connected to corporate headquarters as someone who's coming in 3 days a week?
Yeah. I would say, Scott, there's a couple different. One is we got out more to them, which I think is important, seeing them, especially you speak of Puerto Rico, whether or not it was their holiday party or staying connected to them when you get together with them, that you show that camaraderie because certain environments like Puerto Rico thrives in that. Go back
Oh
into
yeah.
the US, we just had one last week, Scott. The entire IT staff, we brought the entire IT staff in. It's like, sad to say, I think it's over 100 people, but and they're remote. They're all over the place, and there were some people that I have not seen since before COVID.
Hmm.
And the first thing they said, Scott, Mike, can we do this more than once a year? Because I see value in hanging out with my coworkers. And it's like, and it's so funny, Scott, because in the beginning it was like, I'm good. And then you bring them together and they see it and they're like, so next year we're going to bring them in 2 times a year. And it's about 5 days. They're there 4 nights and they're just really much. And I'd say it's learning for their job, but it's not. It's connecting with other departments. It's connecting with other leaders. It's getting to know people in a deeper way. So, like Scott, especially when you were out in Ohio at Cardinal, when you can make that call and go, "Hey, I know you. I've talked to you. I know you got kids. I know you, blah, blah, blah." It's different, Scott, because you're connecting at a higher level.
Yeah, yeah. And now that Portillo's is becoming more of a regional chain, we can feel connected even with our
I love it.
gastrointestinal
Yes.
connections as well.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about on today's podcast. We can't get to them all because, well, you're just, yeah, you are a legend in this industry. So I'm gonna pick one, okay? I'm gonna pick one that I don't actually know a lot about. Maybe I'm forgetting about it, but continuous feedback loops. Tell me a little bit more about how you've utilized these to not just have that one pop, hey, we got to hang out with IT, but how do we keep that momentum going? How do we keep adding to that learning? What are you guys doing from a continuous feedback loop standpoint?
So one of the things, Scott, that I try to do, or I try to instill, and it's with our leaders and our manager, I'd say continuous feedback is important. And I'd also say I like to think of myself as I have listening posts inside BCU, and they're at frontline, they're in branches, they're in IT, they're out in sales, and these listening posts are really important to me that you're staying connected, and for me, it's so much fun, whether it's a do chat or a listening post conversation. And you know me, Scott, I'll go to Jim Block, for instance, and say, Jim, what's going on over here? Or Dave, what's happening with the Dublin branch? And he's like, how do you know? I go, I know. I'm talking to people. And then it gets to be contagious, Scott, like, well, gosh, I better do that. And it's like, well, yeah, you got a phone, you got Teams, because the one thing I do think COVID did for us, Scott, is made this so much easier.
Mhm.
So much easier. So now I'm not afraid to call Jeff Reinhardt out in Irvine because now I see him, and I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
what's up? What are we doing? So continuous feedback. And I really believe in these listening posts at different levels of the organization that you can see. But every time, and you know me, Scott, I'm a little bit like a nuclear bomb sometimes when I get information. But I'd add to that, trust, but verify. So I got to make sure, Scott, I got my facts, so
Yeah.
I can go loaded off of you giving me some feedback and go, I might only add half the truth. So I'll confirm that with other people in the organization. But I think it's critical in this day and age to be that, and also to have the curiosity, Scott, and the ability to get people comfortable talking to you, Scott. I think that's also a gift that people got to really work on because you could argue, I call somebody, they go, "Oh, Mike's the CEO." I'm not going to say anything to him. I guarantee you, Scott, I can get him talking, and it just takes time, but it also takes, I care, and showing that empathy.
Your background was diversified in that you didn't just become the CEO. I believe you had a background in collections, you did something in lending, and so you've got a kind of a mixed bag of member experience that kind of leads you to your position here. So we're on the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, and we're excited to kind of congratulate you for the Flex Leader Award. I mean, you've had so many awards that we could have brought you on, but this is the one that it really, as a former employee and I guess, a 15-year member of Baxter Credit Union, this is the one that kind of got my interest and it piqued my interest because when you hear people helping people on paper, there's a way to do that, but it actually isn't the BCU way. I mean, I can drive revenue and margin without actually caring about what the voice of the employee says. But no, you double down on the brand of people helping people. And so, as a final word to the credit union leaders of this great movement, I'll give you the last word, Mike Valentine.
Wow. Maybe it really pushes on stay connected and relationships matter, and these relationships, like Scott, can be with your employees, with your members, with your business partners, with your regulators. But sometimes people underestimate the power of a relationship that you have and what that can do for you. And gosh, just stay curious. You stop staying and you stop listening, you're dead, because you're just not going to grow. So.
It's a great way to end the Credit Union Leadership Podcast.
Interested in submitting a question to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, we want to hear from you. Go in our show notes. We have a link over there, and in that link, it's going to take you to two options. You can submit a question written out through email, or you can submit an audio recording through SpeakPipe. We make it super easy. Go to the link in the show notes, click audio recording. Once you click audio recording, it's going to take you straight to a website where you just press the record button. You've got 90 seconds to submit a question or submit you catching doing somebody do it right. And then you just type in your name and email address, and that's it. It comes straight to us, and we'll take it from there. So you don't need to download anything. You don't need to get any new software. You just go to this website, press record, and click submit, and we're good to go. So go to the link in the show notes. Click if you want to submit a question written out or through audio, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
Vertex Live nationwide is one of the most popular leadership training that's come out of Service Star Consulting in the last 4 years. The pandemic forced everyone to go live online, and we embrace the opportunity to take credit unions from around the nation and join their leaders into one 10-part series with a graduation at the end and a group project that takes these classroom leadership topics and turns them into real world competencies. You've heard me on the Credit Union Leadership Podcast talk about an investment in leadership as one that pays dividends in your others. And so many credit union leaders will benefit. Not only themselves, but their teams will benefit from being better strategic thinkers. Their teams will benefit from being better coaches. Their teams are going to benefit from being more effective delegators. And so topics like team building, employee motivation, don't let your team learn this by mistake. Give them that proactive leadership training that they need. Send them to Vertex Live nationwide, a cohort that runs twice per year here at Service Star Consulting.